Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Susan Lynn, Psychic Medium, and I'm going to be doing something new today. It's a new series that my spirit guides have suggested that I do. Now, if you're new here, I speak to my spirit guides pretty often, pretty much on the daily, and they pop in with information, opinions, whatnot. So they mentioned this word house scrying to me. Now, scrying, S-C-R-Y-I-N-G, I'm not going to go into the definition of Webster's dictionary because honestly, I don't even know the definition. I just do what my guides tell me to do sometimes. But this sounded like fun, so I thought I'd go along. So scrying, in my opinion, means seeing. Some people scry in water, right? They look in water to scry the future, scry an image. There's scrying that you can do in mirrors. You can look up the definition and figure out what it means to you. And I understand completely that what they're talking about here is completely new and somewhat kind of made up. But here's what happened. I was walking my dog and I was walking past a historic house and I got an image that a lady lived there. And you know, if you know me, ghosts also talk to me quite often. I'm a medium. So I don't talk to ghosts. So I try not to anyway, overall. And I just kept walking, my typical thing. Well, when I went by that house a few days later, I looked at it and I heard them, my guides, say, she's no longer there. She's gone. Well, that was surprising to me because I thought, well, a ghost doesn't typically cross themselves over. I mean, I think they can, but they just don't for many reasons. I thought that was odd. And then they said, she's not a ghost. And then I thought that was even more odd because I had sensed a lady there. So I since have figured out that my spirit guides want me to go to various places, houses, you know, anywhere, public, park benches, wherever. And at those places, you will find people that have crossed over. They're in heaven, but they're simply coming back to visit this particular place. Maybe this place has some real sentimental value to them, so they like to visit it again. In this particular case, this lady that lived in this house that you're seeing on the screen, she lived in this house. She grew up in this house. The house stayed in her family, and in her very, very late years, she came back to the house. So I think it's pretty fascinating. She met me at the house in spirit form. I wasn't really seeing her. I was basically using my clairaudience. So basically I was hearing her tell her story. So I hope you'll join me and let me know what you think of the new series. I'll be doing a few more of these, and please leave a comment and let me know what you think. Without further ado, here starts the video. Okay, good morning everybody, or good afternoon, or wherever you are. I'm going to do a little house scrying on this house that I've walked past more than a few times. And I know we're not going to be talking about ghosts today because when I first came by, I thought it was a ghost that lived here, an older lady. But when I came by again a few days later, visiting Galveston, I realized that they just now said, she's gone. And I thought, well, wait, did she cross over? I mean, you know, that's unusual. But what really happened was this woman is just visiting. So she's not really a ghost. She's a spirit from the other side. She's an older lady who lived here by herself. She was elderly when she crossed over. And this is her home. And she's very, see my dog here. She's very attached to this house. She has a lot of memories here, even though it's not her house anymore. She comes in from spirit, not as a ghost, but she comes in to visit this house. And I'm sorry about the noise in the background. They're working on something. But she comes back from spirit to visit this house, and it's just a bittersweet thing for her. Like she likes to visit it. I'm being drawn to this window up in the upper left. See that beautiful glass? Look at that beautiful glass in that window. But this was a window that she particularly liked to sit, and you can see how it kind of comes out. In other words, it has 2 or 3 panes, so she gets like a 180 view of the street here. This place is across the street from a school. But she could just see the kids playing at the school, and you know, she was fiercely independent. This woman was very independent. So she lived here by herself in her later years. She refused to go to a home or move on to a sibling's or a child's home. She wanted to be by herself in her home. Later in the, you can see that this is a duplex and she lived upstairs, but at some point she's telling me it wasn't a duplex, it was all one home. She's telling me that it was her, I'm getting it right now, it was her father's. Her father lived here, passed it down to her. I feel like she moved in to take care of her father, and then this became her home and she stayed here. And they made it a duplex, I want to say in the 1960s, I think she's telling me. I'm not sure, but it just made more sense, right? Because she could live upstairs and rent out the downstairs. Sorry when there's pauses, I'm just trying to get the information. So yeah, so she lived upstairs. She actually really doesn't mind the heat. It is really sweltering down here in Galveston right now. It's early in the morning and it is humid enough that I'm just sweating standing here. But she liked the heat. She stood on the balcony, sat on the balcony. She had a rocking chair up there and she would sit on the balcony and rock. And she didn't mind the heat. And she's saying there's usually a breeze. There's a lot of trees here that would block the breeze, but this house does face south, which is towards the Gulf of Mexico. Galveston is an island off the coast of Texas by a little bit. But this would be where you would get your breeze if there was a breeze to be had. She's also telling me she did like to garden. This garden looks a little less cared for than, and also we had an unprecedented freeze, so that had something to do with it. Probably some things might have died, but she's telling me her daughter owns this now. Okay, she's saying that her daughter owns this now. And it's rented out. Her daughter doesn't live here. She's saying her daughter doesn't live here. Her daughter lives in another town, maybe Houston, but I could be like a suburb around Houston or something. Meadow something. Her daughter lives in Meadow something subdivision. I don't know where that is. But anyway, she was here the first time I came by, and my guides, my spirit guides said something about the words house scrying. House scrying. So usually when you scry, it's usually about water. You scry in water to see the future. And they gave me this new term called house scrying, meaning to walk past the house and to scry it, to see who's there, to see what energies are there, to talk to the spirits that are there. So I'm going to do this as a new series. I'm going to just pick a house and scry it and talk about it. My dog is pulling me, so I'll just walk this way a little bit. You can see a better view of the house anyway. There's a better view. Not going to tell you exactly where this is on the island. I don't want these houses to be places where people go by, because she's not a ghost. She doesn't live here. She just comes by to visit it because she has fond memories of it. And really fond memories. She's now talking about a horse. Galveston's unique. You can see that the concrete bottom there. The island went through a grade raising where we actually raised the land. The dirt was raised. You can look up 1900 storm Galveston grade raising. That concrete area would have been a tall fence, and this house would have either been lifted up or you would have lost your first floor. Some areas the house was raised 6 feet, you know. So anyway, I lowered the camera because I was sometimes there's, I'll show you something interesting too. Sometimes there's like a horse, still a concrete thing where you would hook the horse to, but I don't see it. But anyway, she's talking about horses, this area. This house is probably from the early 1900s. It could be from the 1800s. I can see now where it's been renovated. Yeah, not the original. Those columns wouldn't be original. But anyway, this is very interesting. Just thought I would share this with you. So she's talking about a little girl, being a little girl and having horses and buggies coming down this road, coming down this street, and tied off to the tree, or there would be some sort of place where you would tie your horse to it and visit. And she's also talking about this being a doctor. What is she talking about, a doctor now? Was it a doctor's visit, or was it if this video is too shaky, you guys let me know and I'll just do a voiceover with a photo instead of holding the camera for 8 minutes. She's talking with a 70-pound dog attached to me. She's talking about a doctor. Was your dad a doctor? Was your dad a doctor? Somebody was her husband. Her husband was a doctor. Okay. A black bag. I'm seeing the little black satchel bag that opened like a clamshell and then you would close it. Her husband was a doctor. Okay, her husband was a doctor. Right. In the 30s, I'm hearing. In the 1930s. 30s? Was he practicing in the 30s? Or were you born in the 30s? Somebody was a doctor in the 30s. I might be having the husband part wrong. No, never mind. Not her husband. She's saying not her husband. Her dad? Was it your dad? It was either dad or uncle, because she keeps saying he was a doctor. But when I ask about dad, I don't get an answer. I think it's an uncle. I think her uncle was a doctor, and her uncle would visit them here with his black bag on his way to or from someplace. He might stop here and get something cold to drink, and visit a little bit, right? If he was in between patients or whatever, he definitely was a doctor. I think it was an uncle. I think it was her dad's brother, is what I'm hearing. Her dad's brother was a doctor. And she was fascinated. Whoa, sorry, that's my dog. And I don't know what she saw because I don't see anything. Oh, I see it now. There's a cat on the porch. Okay, time for me to wrap this up. Darn, I was just connecting to, okay, right. She was fascinated. Zoe, just be good with the cat. Be chill with the cat. That's your cat brother or sister. We love everybody, remember? We're all one. She just turns around and walks the other way like, huh, that's what you think. Okay, she has her own opinions about cats. But anyway, I just want to tell you real quickly about, okay, so she was fascinated by her uncle, the doctor, okay? Fascinated, like this, this was, she was very smart for her. I wanted to say she was very smart for being a girl, but that was the attitude back then, right? Girls didn't necessarily become doctors. Girls weren't considered, super smart or whatever. That wasn't even something you thought about when you thought about a young lady. So, but she was, I want to say, 12 or something. And this man, this doctor, just fascinated her. She would open his satchel and look at all the instruments inside and the medicines and try to read the names that were, maybe in Latin or something. I don't know. They seem like they're in a different language. And it was just so fascinating to her. Absolutely fascinating. Now, her family was pretty educated. I believe her dad was she's saying he was sort of like an architect, but an engineer. Like, I don't know what that is. A mixture between an architect and an engineer. So her family was very, very educated. And so she was very fascinated with her uncle and all of his things. They encouraged her to be a nurse, but she didn't want to be a nurse because she didn't feel like nurses really did what doctors did. You know what I mean? Especially back then, it was very palliative. It was very just, take care, you know, it was just very, we're just going to take care of this patient. We're not, she wanted to do things. She wanted to learn Latin. She wanted to learn the medicines. And she had a particular interest in pharmacology, she's saying. Pharmacy and pharmacology, the study of medicines. She was very fascinated that they were creating new medicines based on plants, but they were using chemical, you know, it was the beginning, and now she's skipping ahead like to the 50s when they started reinventing natural medicines, but in a chemical way. You know, she thought that was very interesting. What is your name, dear? I believe her name is Elizabeth. I was hearing Edith, but I think it's Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Yes, Elizabeth. And people called her Beth. People called her Beth. So, but I'm going to call her Elizabeth because I don't know. It just seems like what I should call her. So, anyway, so as I'm talking to her, my dog is getting really bored of this. Let me see if I can connect in a little bit more. Somebody's on the East Coast. Cornell? Somebody went to Cornell later. Wait, is Cornell on the East Coast? Not on the East Coast, but it's east from me. I mean, I'm in the middle of the country. So, yeah, somebody went to Cornell, very educated. She very much valued education. She encouraged her kids to get an education. She really loved science, as you can tell. What did you do? What did you get your education in? She really doesn't want to talk about herself. She wants to talk about her kids. What did you get your education in? Elizabeth, did you go to school? Yes, I mean, she went to school. Also California. There's family in California too. She went to school. What did she go to school for? Okay, she got her, okay, this is what I'm hearing, guys. She got her undergraduate. I think it's William and Mary College. I mean, these people traveled pretty far away from Galveston to be, William and Mary. I don't know where I know it's east. I know it's on the east side of the country. And then what else did she got her undergraduate degree. She couldn't get into science. I think this is why she doesn't want to talk about it, you guys. She couldn't get into the sciences. She couldn't, it was hard, or she felt like it was too hard, or I don't know why. I'm not sure what happened, but she's saying I got tired of trying, right? I got tired of trying. She was going to go into the sciences. Yeah, she wanted to be a doctor. I mean, let's face it, she wanted to be a doctor. And she didn't feel like that was available to her. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a money thing, or if it was she couldn't get in, or she just didn't want to fight as hard as she would have had to fight her male students and teachers to get in. So she didn't go into sciences. I'm telling you guys, it's such a disappointment for her that she almost doesn't want to talk about it. She went into some other type of, I feel like she went into teaching. I feel like she went into teaching. And she tried to go as high as she could in teaching. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think she tried to go up into the college level teaching. She did. She did. She went into the college level teaching. And she lived in the east part of the country, but also traveled quite a bit. And then she came back to Galveston in her later years. And I mean, this woman was fiercely independent and very, pretty healthy, right up until the end. So she didn't come back to Galveston until she was 75, maybe. Yeah, I don't know why. Kind of like she was born here, she came back here to die, kind of thing. quiet. She says Galveston is very quiet, and she kind of was done with the big city and the big hustle and bustle of the East Coast. Oh, the winters, right? The winters. She did have some arthritis and some things, and so she really wanted to get away from the winters. So yeah, that's why she came here. So anyway, I'm gonna end this. My arm's about to fall off. I'm gonna have to get a tripod. My dog finally gave up, and she is laying down, waiting for me patiently. Yes, Zoe. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm probably going to add a little bit. There's a really interesting thing just right across the street that I'm going to add to this. But thank you for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is a new series my spirit guides wanted me to talk about, called House Scrying. This is basically across the street from the house that I just did the house scrying on. This is now a school, but at one time it was the Ursuline Convent. I don't know if you guys can see that. And this would have been a step that you could get off of your wagon or your whatever and step up, you know, step off onto the pavement. It would be like a step for you to do that. So anyway, I just thought that was really interesting. As I say, now this is a school. It's a Catholic school. So anyway, thanks for joining, everybody. Have a great day. Talk soon.